Is it just me, or is everyone else starting to feel like this entire show, The Rings of Power, is some kind of bizarre, ironic, meta reinterpretation of the scene from The Two Towers in which Merry gets angry at Treebeard in the Entmoot, and it's just like, we don't have time to just sit around and do nothing and speak long, drawn-out words. And then Treebeard, who is the Rings of Power, is like, be hasty, Merry. If we're gonna do anything worth doing, we've gotta do it slowly. Shut up, Treebeard! Shut up, you giant, stupid, walking tree! Stop being so slow and boring! If you're going to do the slow burn HBO, The Wire, Slack, just any HBO show, I don't have to start listing them. If you're going to do this slow burn kind of story, develop the characters. Make good characters to develop. Don't just sit around doing nothing. Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, like, they're journey stories. They're like traveling adventure stories where we're going from one place to another. We are now 5.5-ish hours deep into this series. I don't even know what I've seen. I don't know what has happened. I feel like this all could have been done in about an hour and a half. I am baffled at what I am watching. I was so bored. I was painfully bored. I fell asleep halfway through this episode. And yes, I might be impossibly tired because of work. I don't even know why. It was just a normal day at work. In fact, it was an enjoyable day at work, which I can't say for every day at work. But I just got home and I was very tired. Maybe because I'd had a lot of delicious roast chicken and a couple of cheeky little samosas. This doesn't matter. But you know what? Me explaining what I had for lunch is probably more exciting than me recapping what happened in this episode. It's such a drag. It's so boring. I'm just baffled by what is going on. Nothing is going anywhere, and I'm just constantly reminded of that scene where Merry is just so angry at Treebeard, and Treebeard's like, oh, Merry, how dare you get angry at me? Just take a deep breath. Don't be hasty, Mr. Merry, Master Merry. And I just feel like that's what Rings of Power is saying to me. Like, don't be hasty. It's all leading somewhere. Where is it leading? I don't care where it's leading at this point, because we've got a bunch of nothing characters all just standing about, bickering and arguing in the most kind of boring ways. It's just, I don't understand. The first 2 episodes, I was like, oh, look at the budget. Look at the scope. Look at all these things. And now we're getting to the 5th episode. I'm like, where is the money going? What have they spent it on? Was it just the IP? Was it just these big, empty CGI wastelands that we're viewing? I'm so confused. We get like the most minuscule action set piece of all time where 3 wolves attack potentially younger, sexy Gandalf. That's probably not Gandalf, not sexy, and he might actually not be that young. And he does a big magic fist pump. And the terrible looking CGI wolves all flip around and they run away. And that's our action scene for the episode. The episode is like an hour and 20 minutes. It's so long. And it's like, I don't want it to be like action, action, action. But at this point, 5 episodes in, I thought there would be at least one scene in the whole show in which I'd be like, well, at least I can go back and watch that amazing fight between elves and orcs and this and that. Or a wizard and 3 wolves. But the wolves look so bad, it's making me wish I could go back and rewatch the Hobbit movies. At least the wargs in that looked like pretty good. Like, okay, considering how the whole film visually looks. They look pretty good. Whereas when you make everything look so expensive and gorgeous, and that's the only thing that's even half good about this show, you then give me these CGI wolves that just look bizarre and terrible and just... You know what? I'm trying to have fun with these reviews. I'm trying to, bring a bit of, life to them. Let's just have a bit of fun in the Lord of the Rings universe! This episode just broke me, bro. The only thing that's half keeping me invested in this series is the potential idea that one of these characters is Sauron. I really like the idea that we are watching Sauron play out his little Sauron thing. He's all like, I built everyone some sweet little rings, but actually, I've got my own ring and it's more powerful than yours. Oh, you're not all going to be evil with me? The men will, because... what do they crave? Power! And just to be clear, my, knowledge of the lore of, Middle-earth and Lord of the Rings and all of Tolkien's stuff is pretty much just Peter Jackson's movies. So, if that opening, Galadriel, speech, that opening monologue is wrong in any way to the actual lore, what they might be doing in this series, then I'm wrong and mistaken, and everything I'm about to say is just I guess, don't listen. Well, listen! Subscribe, and listen! But ignore me? You know what? Put me on mute and then just watch the hands wave about, put a song. I can be like your composer. Put on Lord of the Rings music. Not Rings of Power music, because there are no songs that I could even recommend to you. the opening theme is kind of growing on me, which does surprise me. I love a big fantasy epic score, so I don't know, I'm sure there was good music in the Wheel of Time. It doesn't make the Wheel of Time good. So I really like the idea that Sauron is kind of hiding amongst all our heroes, and he's all like, I'm going to get all these heroes to be on my side, and I'll pretend to be a hero, but then at the end I'll be like, I'm actually Sauron. Look at this big spiky mask I'm wearing. I've got a mace, and you know, the One Ring thingy. And I like the idea of being like, okay, so who is it? Is it the very evil elf slash orc slash whatever he is, Adar, the orc master leader man, father of the orcs? Probably not. I feel like that was like a red herring at first, and now seems very clear, especially when that guy's like, you're Sauron! And then he like strangles him, he's like, kill this guy to prove that you're evil, because that's, you know, evil. So not him. Cross him off the list. Theory 1, out the window. Then we've got sexy young Gandalf. That's probably not Gandalf. Not sexy, not young. You know, the wizard man, the meteor boy. Old man. The withered meteor man. And he might be Sauron. I feel like that's... I don't know. Something about that really annoys me. I feel like it's probably going to be one of the blue wizards that we never hear about. And Gandalf's all like, oh, the blue wizards, I don't know their names because of rights or whatever. And I would really like this because I only know the movies. I haven't read the books or anything like that. So I'd love to learn more about these blue wizards. And I love the idea. And it seems to be growing like that with his whole subplot this episode where it's like, okay, I'm good. I'm with the hobbits or half-foots or whatever you want to call them. I'm just going to call them hobbits because that's where my brain goes straight away. And we're going with the hobbits and he's all like, ooh, am I evil? Am I good? What's going on? And he's all like jumbled in the brain, probably from crashing like a meteor and hitting the earth. Like, that would hurt anyone's brain. If anything, he's lucky he can talk at all. And I really like this idea of him being like, oh, I'm going to be good because all these hobbits are good. But maybe actually he's not so good. Or maybe the powers are just so powerful, they're going to cause bad things to happen. Like when he's healing his hand with the ice and she touches him for some reason. I don't know why she would do that. It's clearly this evil spiky ice thing that's like, doesn't look good at all. And, you know, it hurts her, but he didn't mean to hurt her. So that's a classic kind of like, oh, my powers, I can't control my powers. But maybe if I can control my powers, I'm not so evil and I can be good. All of that is, like, kind of good. I'm actually still quite intrigued by his character, but at this point, it still just feels like a mystery box, where they're like, look at this mystery box. You want to see what's inside the box? I'm like, yes, JJ, you've tapped into the quintessential mystery box allure of a mystery box in the human psyche, or whatever. Yes, I want to know what's in the mystery box. Does that make what you're making good? Not really. It just means that I like a good mystery, or just a mystery. It doesn't even have to be good. I'm just intrigued now. I'm frustrated and intrigued. Good job. Just a quick side note, I do apologize for invoking J.J. Abrams' name. I know we are all still very raw after Rise of Skywalker, and we are going to need at least a full decade. Maybe half a decade, you know? But time does heal all wounds. So we will be over it at some point, collectively. But right now, I shouldn't have brought his name into this. We're already grieving because Rings of Power, Amazon, Jeff Bezos, all the things, you know, that we're watching in this show, and for some reason keep watching, I guess because Lord of the Rings is just that good. I'm just like, what if it's great? What if I miss the episode that gets good? I'm starting to think that episode isn't coming, and I swear I liked last episode, but I think I'm on this roller coaster. I'm like, oh, actually, this isn't as bad. Oh, not for me. I think I'm kind of liking this. Wait, what did I like about last episode? I don't know, something about this is just, I don't know, I really want to love it. I want to love it! I'm going in just so excited. But yeah, fell asleep like 20 minutes in, and I had to like, you know, wake myself up and like get up, do some exercises. I say exercises. I just slapped myself around, had some juice. Was there vodka in the juice? Who's to say? So young sexy Gandalf slash Meteor Man slash the tall guy with the hobbits, the wizard boy, potentially blue wizard, potentially Sauron. That guy, maybe still Sauron. Put a big question mark on his head for potential, you know, Saurons. And the last person who I think could be Sauron, who I really want to be Sauron, and I think would be really interesting to be Sauron, but every time I keep thinking about this, I think about all the scenes that are taking place, and like 2 or 3 of them here and there, I'm like, oh, this is so cheeky of him. And then a lot of it, I'm like, I don't know if this makes any sense, and if they do reveal this, maybe I'll get angry, because I'm like, that doesn't make any sense, even though it's a theory I want to happen, which I think it just comes down once again to like the writing and it being real bad and stuff. But we've got our Rings of Power Aragorn. I actually don't know his name. I think it starts with an H or an H. H or H. It doesn't matter. Halgrave, Hellman, the guy who's like, I don't want to be king. I'm not going to be king. And you're like, yeah, okay, the Aragorn plot again. Cool, that's fine, whatever. We don't have to do original things here. It's a prequel. I actually don't know why I expected things to be original and different. That's on me. I'm sorry, Rings of Power. You know what? To be fair, that's on me. So Prequel Aragorn is all like, I'm Aragorn, I don't want to be king, but maybe I'll be king. And I just keep thinking, dude, if this guy was like Sauron in hiding, I love it. Because then like the coincidences of him finding Galadriel, of getting to that place and being like, oh, I just want to stay in this place, this Numenor, you know, magical place of men and wonder. I'll stay here. But secretly he's going to go with them. And I don't know, it just feels like everything could kind of fit together in this really interesting way where he's then going to be like, hey, so I'm a forger of blacksmith kind of things, and I imagine Sauron, a man who made a bunch of rings and then made one secret evil ring for himself, is like a blacksmith of some type. And I don't know, there was like a scene where he's like smashing things and being like, ooh, I'm a blacksmith, I'm good at it. And I'm like, yeah, like that scene where Sauron's like in the Mount Doom and he's like, I made a ring! Probably with some blacksmithing of some type. I don't really know what goes into blacksmithing. Is that how you make a ring? I'm pretty sure in Skyrim I had to go to the blacksmith to make rings. So yeah, that's where my knowledge of things go. Oh, spoilers, by the way. I'm an idiot. Don't tell my boss, but I am truly very stupid. So maybe this isn't how the rings were made. Maybe this isn't how rings are made at all. But I imagine a blacksmith could make a ring, and I like the idea that he's like a blacksmith, and that's like a little tease, a little thing. What is it? Red herring? No, what is it? I should stop drinking juice. And I couldn't list them all, but I do think there is a bunch of stuff that kind of contradicts the idea that he could be Sauron. He could also be one of the kings or one of the men. Were the men kings? The 9 men with the rings? My lore knowledge is, I've seen Lord of the Rings so many times. Like, I literally watched them all again like a week or two ago. But still, it's just like, I don't know, I'm overwhelmed by the filmmaking and like the music and just the things on screen and like the emotional little bits. Like Boromir's like, give them a moment for pity's sake! And Aragorn's like, by nightfall these hills will be swarming with orcs! And I'm just like, I always forget that I have emotions, but right now I could die of sadness. Holy moly, you know. Those moments, those character beats is what kind of gets me into this universe. The lore and all the stuff, I kind of forget. I just keep going, yeah, Sauron's evil, he's got a ring or whatever. I get it. Orcs, baddies, hobbits, they're good because they like to drink and smoke and garden and stuff. I mean, that's pretty wholesome. It's pretty black and white. And my simpleton brain understands. But as far as I'm aware, and I know this could just all be wrong, I've just got to stop saying that. Just presume I should just put a caption in my titles. All lore knowledge could be wrong, I apologize, but also who cares? So Sauron, despite everyone knowing that that someone is Sauron, poses as somebody else, I guess he had to be, and was like, here's some sweet magical rings, let's all team up against maybe someone else who's pretending to be Sauron. So maybe Adar is fake Sauron, and everyone's like, oh, we gotta fight Adar and all the orcs, because they're like, father of the orcs, Adar. Sauron, I guess he's Sauron. But then Sauron's on the good side, he's like, I've made all these magical rings, let's all team up and make it cool. And so, yeah, I would love it if that's that guy. And that's kind of the only thing that's keeping me intrigued and keeping me going, well, I've got to watch next week. Like, I don't want to have that spoiled if that's a big reveal. And everything else just feels like it's just boring and nothing. Like, Isildur's in it. Isildur! Cast it into the fire! And so we get some really cringy lines with like, Isildur, hopefully one day you care about something enough to where you'll sacrifice everything to care about this thingy. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a very cheeky reference to the ring and how he sacrifices his morals and everything for the ring. Very clever writing. That is God damn it. So is Isildur, the man who grabs his father's sword and does the whole thingy thing. You've seen Lord of the Rings, what am I saying? But you know, that guy, the epic, awesome guy, but then like his corruption, his being a man thingy, you know, he's all, oh no, I love the ring, all that stuff. What was his origin story? He got his friends fired, even though they absolutely shouldn't have been fired. I got into it in my review for whatever episode that happened in. And now we've had 2 or 3 episodes or whatever it's been of just his friends just hating him. Everyone just kind of hating him. And him, the most blank slate hero kind of character, which sometimes works where you're like, oh, this character in this thing, I can't think of an example. But, you know, they're everywhere where you're like, yeah, they don't need to be because you kind of project yourself onto them. Isildur doesn't really fit that mold though, because we're not like following him in that way. I feel like I need to get something from this character. I need to kind of get a vibe from him, whereas he's just kind of nothing. I just feel like I'm not getting enough from him. There's a moment where he's like so proud to be marching off with his Numenorian people with their really bland looking white armor that just looks kind of gross and lame. And I just keep going, well, no matter how kind of disappointed I am by moments and things in House of Dragon, the costume design is just so immaculate and so breathtaking. I can just look at it and I was going to say close my eyes and look at it, but I can close my brain cells off and look at it like I have any brain cells to close off. What am I saying? I don't know. I guess I kind of like that he's like heroic in the most cliche way, where he's like, oh, this guy's doing a bad thing and blowing up a boat. You know, that character who had some cringy 2022 romance dialogue last week. Well, now he's blowing up ships and there's big explosions, and I'm like, yay, look at $1 billion just go up in flames. Psh, fire. Oh, it's so exciting. Ah. It's just like, I don't know. I feel like the city that I'm looking at, seeing 2 ships explode, all I kept thinking was, why are there only 3 ships leaving? I know they wanted to take 5 ships and 2 exploded. Just get 2 other ships. You don't have 2 extra ships. Your city is big and expensive and CGI. Like, you don't have 2 CGI ships just hiding in the corner that you were going to do, I don't know, some fishing with that you can kind of spare for this grand epic war that you're sending everyone on. At this point, I feel like I'm either being too pedantic and petty and like picky on things, or there are probably things that are so stupid I've completely forgotten and they just kind of washed over me in a big wave, like the wave that will kill Numenor at some point. Apparently, I don't know. That does intrigue me. It's kind of like Valyria, with the doom of Valyria, but water this time, not fire. That's cool, I guess. So Galadriel is kind of the epitome of Merry yelling at Treebeard at the Entmoot and being like, please do something. And he's like, I will take my job. Blah, 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 blah. I don't have time to do the whole Treebeard thing. I'm impatient enough as it is. We're not doing that. You get the gist. You get the joke. Yeah, Galadriel, still angry, still like, let's go fight. I want to fight. Fight. Okay. Loved that single-minded determination and anger and like kind of like angry kind of Galadriel we got. It was so different and interesting. Oh, now we're in episode 5. It's the same. She's been stuck in the same loop for the last 3 episodes here in Numenor, just being like, let's go do a thing. The end of last episode ended with her being like, let's go, Numenorians! And this episode ends with them being like, let's go, Numenorians! And it's like, nothing happened that was kind of interesting or creative or fun or different that made me go, no, that is worth sticking around for an episode to be like, maybe, should we go? We said we'd go, but should we go? Just go! We all know you go! If anyone, like me, has the most bare level knowledge of Lord of the Rings, it's that the Numenorian warriors and Isildur and everyone, they're there in Middle-earth and they fight with the elves and they defeat Sauron. So stop fluffing about with all this nonsense and like get to something interesting. But I have to say, if it was good writing and good characterization and everything that was happening in the city was like intriguing and there was like political like minutiae and things going on and dealings and things that I was kind of like intrigued by, I'd be like, no, we can stay around for the whole season. But I feel like this show does its best kind of work when it's being big and grand and epic. Like my favorite scene is still just the first 10 minutes of the first episode where Galadriel goes on this giant mission. There's a big montage of big cinematic battles and epicness, and there's great big walls of ice and ice trolls and magic and, you know, things and betrayals and mutinies, and everything happens so quickly. It was big and epic and grand, and it felt like a journey, we were going bam, 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 bam. It felt like that, and now it just feels like everyone's like just, I don't know, trapped in a treadmill. I figured out the perfect metaphor for this show. The Rings of Power is a hamster on the treadmill, and they think they're running really quickly, but they're not moving. They're not moving. The hobbits, they are technically moving. We get an Indiana Jones map travel sequence thing where you see different shots of places they're going, and the map's like, we go A to B to C to D. But they're not doing anything. They're not moving anywhere, and it's just, you know, like the episode starts and all the other hobbits, they don't like him. And it ends and they don't, oh, actually, they like him now. You know what? Something happened. It's just bad, so you forget. Because who cares? Because, of course, they're going to like him. And then it's going to twist back around. They're going to be like, oh, why did we start liking him? He's actually evil. And, oh, we shouldn't have liked him for that 2 episodes. And those 7 minutes of screen time. I don't know how the show is so long, yet so, like, I feel like I don't know anything about anyone. And then anytime I think I know anything about anyone, I'm annoyed that I know that. Like, it's like, okay, all the hobbits used to just be like pricks, and their like civilization was like monstrous and awful. Like that one hobbit is like, we should get rid of these hobbits because we can't find some food. It's clearly that evil wizard man. How could it be him? What do you mean? What is that? How? That makes no sense. Just nonsense, psycho talk. And then he's like, take their wheels, abandon them, to die. I don't like these hobbits. The hobbits are my favorite part of Lord of the Rings. They could be my favorite, like, thing in a thing of all things. And I hate these hobbits. And that makes me sad, man. I kind of like the song, though. The song, and she's all like, whoop-a-dee-doo, I'm singing a song. And the Indiana Jones thing. But maybe because I was like, hey, it's the Indiana Jones thing. There's a new Indiana Jones coming out soon. Not like soon, but like kind of soon. It's insane to get excited about a movie like that. But God, if it's good, oh boy! I'm going to be so disappointed by that movie, aren't I? Oh, hey, I forgot to talk about Blue Dress Lady and the South people with the elf bowman and magical sword boy. Yeah, I forgot because it sucks and I don't care and it's just nothing at this point. The only scene I liked was when all the men are like, actually, let's go, this sucks. And then we get to that other place, they're like, oh boy, maybe this sucks more. Yeah, you think? Teaming up with the orcs, the literal monsters, they're like ghouling gremlin demon boys are all like, and they're like vampires in this universe. I guess they were always vampires, but seeing them literally get hit by the sun and like boil up like a vampire, I don't know. I feel like seeing it takes away like the mystery of like, oh, they can't go out in the sun. With like a vampire, it seems a bit silly and like cheesy, like in a way. Like sometimes when you see it, and it's like sometimes it can work really effectively. I don't know. It just felt a bit like weird to see that and be like, oh, I guess that's, yeah, orc, that would just happen to orcs. But I don't know. Once again, maybe it's just something where if Peter Jackson had done it, I'd be like, yeah, it's awesome. Remember that scene of Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings that are awesome? Where the orcs burnt in the sun, it was super cool. Whereas in this, just because I'm not vibing the whole thing, it's just like an extra little wrinkle that just feels like it doesn't like vibe the way they want it to vibe. And now apparently sword magical demon boy sword thingy is a key or something, he said, and he's like, oh, I've seen this before. He's like, where? So we need to journey to some mystical relic monument. No, on that wall, just right there. See that one right there? And he just rips off like some weeds, and it's like a shrine to it, like right there. I mean, I'm not saying it's convenient, but yeah, I don't know. This show is spinning its little hamster wheel. The hamster being Rings of Power, or let's call it Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos is the hamster spinning the wheel, and he's like, why am I saying that? It's not like he wrote this. He probably didn't even read half a page of a script. He just went, Lord of the Rings. I heard of that movie. It made all the money. It won an Oscar, or an Academy, or a Globe. It won the EGOT, and they're like, Jeff Bezos, that's not what an EGOT is. A movie can't get an EGOT. And he's like, I don't care. I went to space. Did he go to space? I don't know, and I actually don't care. Oh my god, I don't know how I have skipped over this. It is impossible to think that I've said so much, and yet probably so little. But I actually liked one element, and I kind of like one element over the whole series. Elrond and dwarf character Durin. I like their relationship. It's really wholesome and fun and nice. I think the Elrond actor is really, really good. He's just got a bit of charisma and a bit of like flair to him as an actor. I think the same when he was doing young Ned Stark. Really, really good actor. Really like his delivery and his performance. The whole plot is convoluted and stupid and dumb, and it's just really, really weird. And it's like, wait, why? Like, the whole thing is like, I cannot say, like, Elrond, is there mithril in the mountain? Even though we know there's mithril in the mountain, because he did a big flashback with a Balrog that looked bad in CGI, and like a big picture book thing. Could have had a cool scene with a Balrog fighting a guy with a tree. Could have done a whole CGI thing without billions of dollars. But instead, no, big CGI nothingness. So we know the mithril's there. But Elrond, tell us, is the mithril there? I cannot say. I dare not say, because of honor. I said an oath to him. So what you're saying is, you could have just said, no, I have no idea what you're talking about. That's absolutely not what's going on. But he's like, I said an oath I could not say. Which is a yes. That's a yes. And he's like, you've got to tell me, break the oath. His answer was a yes. Like, he didn't say yes. But him saying that there's an oath to be broken if he says anything is a yes. Otherwise, he'd be like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't understand anything that's going on, but some nice wholesome stuff, and I really like the bit with the big table, and he's like, ooh, I'm racist to elves, and the elves are like, oh, so racist to dwarves, God, and they just hate each other, and then it ends with him being like, this table is like just so sacred and awesome, and how dare you just drink on it like a table? This should be a monument. And then at the end, he's like, my wife really wants a new table, and I've just got a sexy new table, and then everyone's like, wait, what the hell? Okay, you doing, rascal? And they're both like, that's fun. That was like maybe the nicest, funnest scene so far. They feel like real characters, real people, real, tangible, emotional characters that I can appreciate and understand, even if their whole mithril plot feels like they went, oh, we need a conflict. Oh, mithril is an impossible, insane artifact. Let's have them fight over that, because it makes sense they would fight over it, but the way they're fighting over it, and the way everyone's lying and not telling the truth to each other feels very convoluted, so that they can draw this sequence out instead of it being just him arrive and be like, hey, you're digging. Is it for mithril? We need it because we're all dying. And then the dwarves are like, yeah, we all die. And he's like, no, but elves don't die, but now we're dying and we're sad about that. Just cut to it. Just get to it. If you make a show that's this bad, we're not going to have the 5 seasons for you to tell your long, drawn-out story. Get to it. Tell one great, fantastic season, then tell your other 4 seasons, and I guess maybe take a bit more time. But you've got to tell one good season, because otherwise we're all going to hate this so much, you're not going to make a season 2. Well, you'll probably make a season 2, but who's going to watch it? You're not going to be able to make your 5-season arc if it's trash. You're not going to get there. They're not going to give them $1 billion to make this. So it just feels like stuff that's getting drawn out unnecessarily. It's like, I don't understand. Why wasn't this the episode where everyone's talking about how great the elf warrior by the tree fighting the Balrog was? Look at that $1 billion gone to use. I can't wait to see what happens in season 3 and 4 when big battles happen. Whereas no, it's just convoluted, unnecessarily squabbling about this magical mithril thing. And it's like, it's all just a bit of a mess. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment below. I'd love to know what everyone thought of episode 5 of Rings of Power.